Hello everyone, good morning. In today's session, mainly we are going to talk about AnyPoint Studio. So before going to start today's session, just recap of the last session. So what we have discussed. So we talk about what is API, what is MuleSoft, okay, what are the importance of MuleSoft, what are the areas, okay, what is the life cycle of MuleSoft. It's like design, development, and testing. For design, we need to use AnyPoint platform. For development, we need to use AnyPoint Studio. For deployment, Cloud Hub, right? So there are many things which we have discussed. Okay, if you are watching this video for the first time, just you can go through the previous session and you may get some idea on that. Coming to today's session, as part of demo 2, so we are going to talk about AnyPoint Studio. So how quickly we can develop an API. So what is API? Can someone please answer?
Application Programming Interface.
Correct. Application programming interface in order to communicate
Two
better
systems.
two end systems. Yes, correct. We are going to use API. So API contains what are the desires like method, request and response, and URI and HTTP status codes. Okay, these are the things you have to remember. And today we are going to see how quickly we can develop the APIs. Okay, that part we have. Okay, let's see. So I'm going to create the workspace as demos. Okay. Don't worry about this installation and how it is going to create workspace and all. Actual classes I'm going to explain step by step. Okay. So meanwhile, in order to build an API, so what are the steps we need to remember? Okay, so that is what I'm going to write here. The first one, resource path, search. Okay, this is the sample one, or you can write it any name. Okay, insert, update, or something like this. Okay, now, so request means here input we need to provide. So how many ways we can pass input? There are 4 ways mainly: headers, URI, query forms, then body. Then response. Okay, before this, so what is the method we are going to use it? Okay, this is the second step, resource path. So what are the methods we do have? Like get, put, post, patch, delete. Okay. Next one is what kind of request we are going to pass. The fourth one is response. So the response will be in JSON format or XML format or HTML or text. Next, the final one is like status code. So these are the key points you need to remember. Okay, mainly we are going to work with these key points. 400, 404. Sorry. So you are going to learn. Okay, mainly the 200 we are going to use it for success 200 series, 400 client side errors, 500 server side errors. Okay. So in order to build any API, these 5 points you need to remember. Resource path. The resource path is going to start with slash and the HTTP methods, whether you need to use get, put, post, or patch or delete. So when do we use to get? So in order to retrieve something, okay. So if you want to retrieve some details, you want to retrieve some bus details. If you go to Abibus, you want to retrieve some bus details, then we are going to use get method. Get method is going to support in even browser also. Okay, even all the Chrome browser or Internet Explorer, get method is going to support. So whatever you are going to search in a Google, so everything it is working in a based on get method only. Now, post. In order to create any new record, we are going to use post. Then if you want to update something, then we are going to use put. If you want to partially update, suppose you have 3 fields, one is name and another one is email and another one is phone. I want to update only phone details. Then in that case, we are going to use patch. I want to delete some records from my database by using an API, then we are going to use delete. So this is about HTTP method. Now request. Request in the sense input. Input we can pass it via 4 ways, headers or URI parameters or query parameters or body. These 4 ways we can pass input to your API. So what kind of response we can expect? Okay. So however you are going to design, so the same way it is going to get a display. Suppose I want the response as in JSON format, then we can go with JSON. These are the status codes. Based on status codes, we can rely on your API is successfully working or not. Okay. So these are the key points you need to remember. Okay. These are the key points. Okay. Let's get started. So how quickly we can develop our API. Okay. Okay. The very first one, just I need to print hello world. Even suppose if you are using Java, you need to write main class. Then you need to create some method. After that, you need to write system.out.println. But here, how easy you can see now. So it's available for updates. Okay, not required now. Okay, here, if you see left hand side, I mean right hand side, we do have mule palette. Okay, just drag the listener because we are going to pass our input via Postman or Thunder client. So in order to accept, okay, the name itself, what is there? HTTP listener. So listener, we need to configure the default port. I'm going to keep it as 8081. That is fine. Now, the resource path. This is very important. The resource path is going to start with slash. Okay. I have given hello. Okay. Now, if you type logger here, just observe. So whatever you are going to print, whatever you are going to type here, so the same thing it is going to print in your loggers. But the same thing you want to display in a user. Okay. So whatever you are going to send it. Okay. Now let's see how it is going to work. That's it. We are not writing any code here. Okay. We are not writing any code here. Everything it is a configuration. The very first API, this is the very first API. I'll show you 3 to 4 APIs now in today's class so that you will get one idea how quickly we can develop APIs. So meanwhile, let me prepare testing endpoint for this. So what is the method? So get method. See, if you open Postman, so here you can see all the methods: get, post, put, patch, delete, right? So it is running in your local system. So that means you need to type localhost. You need to type localhost. Then what is the port number it is running? 8081. What is the resource path we have set it? Hello, right? Okay, this is what we did a setup. Yeah, now let's go to our API. So it is deployed. So how it is going to work? Okay. So as soon as if you trigger from Postman, it will come to listener, then it will go to logger, then it will go to set payload. I'm going to clear the logs here. I'm going to clear the logs. So as soon as if I trigger, okay, so what is the response we are getting? We are getting 200. Okay, 200, but empty response here. But try to check the logs. So what we are doing, see, we are printing hello world. So we are not writing any piece of code. So everything it is a configuration. Everything it is configured. But whatever the value you are going to send it, so the same value it has to print in a console. It means the response also. So what you can do, you can click on body, click on text and JSON. So class, it is a MuleSoft. Now try to see now. See whatever we are trying to give the input, the same input we are getting back. So that is what we have configured. Okay, suppose the timing also I need to mention. See now the values are changed. But in loggers, every time it is going to print hello world because we have given the hard-coded value here. So this is how we can quickly develop an API. So this is one API. Now I want to create another API. So what is that API? That API name is like, you know, I'm going to provide username, username and age, username and age. So based on age, I need to decide whether he is eligible for vote or not. Okay, for vote election or not. Okay. Now try to see how we can develop that API. I'm going to close this one. I'm going to create another API file, new project. Vote eligible. So this is my API name. Click on finish. So this is another API, okay, which I am going to develop now. Take the listener. Okay, first we need to configure the listener. Okay, suppose I want to run this API with 8082, 8083. Yes, you can change it here. So otherwise, click on OK. That is fine. Then what is the next thing? Okay, the default, it will take get and post. Okay, you no need to specify anything. So if you want, you can configure, or else you no need to configure here. You no need to configure. So if you want to configure, so which method? Go to advanced. Okay, I want to take only get method. Yes, you can mention here. Now, the resource path, I'm going to keep it as slash vote. Okay, slash vote. Now, just take the logger. So why loggers here? So loggers are going to help us to track our API. Okay, so where it is going and where it is stopped. Okay, everything you can see it here. Okay, vote, suppose API started. So what is the input we are providing? Okay, just taken hash and payload. Now logger is done. Now, how we are going to decide whether the person is eligible for vote or not? Okay. So what I'm saying is we are going to pass two attributes. One is name and another one is age. So based on age, we need to consider, suppose if the person is age is greater than or equal to 18, this person is eligible for vote, or else he is not eligible for vote, right? Now, in this case, what we can do, take the choice router here. So in this when case, you are going to pass the value, okay? Payload dot, suppose age greater than or equal to 18. Payload dot age greater than or equal to 18. So that means we have to execute this flow, or else it will go to default. So here I'm going to keep it as one transform message. So instead of Java, what you can do, you can keep it as JSON. User is eligible for vote. So or else he is not eligible, right? just take another transfer message. So this kind of minimal coding it is required, okay? So user, the conditions you have to write. That is not eligible for vote. Now let's try to debug now so that you can able to understand. You right click and keep the debugger, add breakpoints here and run in a debug mode, debug project, okay? So meanwhile, let me prepare endpoint for this, for testing endpoint. The get method, localhost 8081, vote, okay? So how I need to pass either query parameters or URI parameters or body. Okay, here I'm going to pass the values from body. Click on run JSON. Now let's see the user. So the name is suppose Nani. What is the age? I can keep it as 25. So this is my input. So user is using this URL to check whether he is eligible for vote or not. So even in Java or Python, so what you need to do, we need to write, a code, main methods, and some functions and methods. Okay, everything we need to use. But here, everything it is drag and drop. Let's try to test. Okay, see now it is triggered. The breakpoint came to logger. Okay, logger. Now if you do F6, what will happen? See, vote API started. So by seeing these logs, we can able to understand. Okay, we can able to understand. Now, what is the age? 25. When greater than or equal to 18, it will go to this point. Else it will go to default. Let's see now where it will go. See, it is going inside and it is giving back the results. The user is eligible for vote. Now the same thing. What I will do, I'll give only age is 10. So this way we can debug. See now it came to else part. Okay, it's like default. The default what we have written, user is not eligible for vote. So this is a we can develop API. Now there is another API. I want to connect with database. See even how quickly we can connect with database, we'll see now. Okay, how quickly we can develop. So for that, I'm going to create. See here itself I can do, but for your understanding purpose, I'm going to create another API. Just try to observe. Mule project. So even if you want to connect by using Java or JDBC, so at least you have to write 50 to 100 lines of code. Okay, 50 to 100 lines. Class methods and JDBC connections, how you are going to retrieve if you want to perform any CRUD operations or something. But here, just you can see how quickly we can connect. I want to test it via Postman. The input, I'm going to pass it via Postman. So for this, I'm going to use HTTP listener here. So the methods, allow methods, get and post is default. So not required to set anything. So here, just see DB or else I will say like, okay, database. So this is my endpoint. This is my endpoint or else search. I'll keep it as better way. I'll keep it as search. Just take the logger. DB connect demo started. Okay. This is for our understanding purpose. Whether the API started or no, you will be able to see it in a logs. Next, I need to connect with the database. Okay. First, we need to have any database. It should be installed in your local or any cloud database you can take. In my system, MySQL is already installed. Let's see now. I'll take any one table here. Show databases. Okay. We have a vVision database is available. Now let's see what are the tables. Okay. We have a test table. Okay. We have a test table. Or else what I will do, I'll create one table and I'll insert the values. That's not a problem at all. For testing purpose, okay, select star from test. Okay, what are the, okay, we have only IDs, it is available. So I want to fetch these IDs 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So how quickly we can do? So here, so we have a database. We have a database connectors. So you want to fetch the data from database. What you can do? You can select. So we have a select connector. Okay, select connector. See everything, it is configuration. I'll show you example for Java or Python. Okay, JDBC connection sample code. See, in order to connect with Java with MySQL, so you have to know these many points. Okay, you need to import the packages, you need to load the drivers, you need to register the drivers, then you need to establish the connection, you need to write create statement, execute the query, close the connections. So this is our sample code. Suppose by using Java, you have to write these many lines of code. These many lines of code. Now compare with MuleSoft here. So how are we doing? So you need to configure the connection here. So which database it is? MySQL. So here, what is the host? Local host. The port. Which port we are running it? So that is very important. So if you want to know the port, what you can do is 3306. That is the port. But if you don't know how to take, just to open this app, see here you can see localhost colon 3306. The port is 3306. The username is root. The password also I have given as root. What is the database I need to connect? That is very important. Okay, user. So here there is one drivers. Okay, please add the required drivers. It's in a red color. So what you can do, click on configure, add Maven dependency. So what this dependency will do? automatically it will install the predefined jars. Okay, click on finish and click on test connection, whether you are able to connect with the database. Okay, now test connection is successful. Click on OK. Now see here, select star from. So test is my table. Test is my table. Whether we are able to get these values or JSON and keep the payload. Now try to run this one. Okay, meanwhile, what I can do, I can prepare one endpoint for this. So get localhost slash search. Let's wait for a few seconds to get it deployed. So it is deployed now. See, you can able to see ID1, ID2, 3, 4. Okay. So what I will do, I'll create one employee table. Okay. I have a data. Let me create quickly. So we have a data, employee data in MySQL. Okay, MySQL. You want to fetch that. So how simple it is? Okay, we are going to see now. This is my table. Okay, use vvision, create table. Okay, now the table is created. Let me load some data into my table. Okay, just observe here how many rows it is available here. Select star from employees. Okay, this is my table. So I have around 40 rows. Okay, I want to fetch all this data. Okay, whenever the user is going to trigger my API. So what are the changes it is required here? Okay, so everything it is same. Just you need to change the table name. That's it. Just you need to change the table name. Select star from employees. Let's wait for to redeploy the same. Okay, redeploy the same. Okay, the application is started. Now let's see. Now I have changed my table name. So after changing my table name, I can see list of values in a JSON format. So this is what I'm expecting. How quickly we can develop our APIs by using MuleSoft. Okay. Now the very important thing. Okay, I don't want all the results. I want to fetch the results based on employee ID. See here, the user is going to pass employee ID from query parameter. Suppose if he is going to pass 100, I need to get only the particular employee ID details. So how we can do? So that's very simple. So what you can do is just observe here, take one variable, set variable. So here the variable name is EMP ID. Click on this expression mode. So how are we passing our parameters? By using query parameters, right? So how to take query parameters in MuleSoft? So that's very important. So attributes dot query forms dot. So what is the value you are going to pass? Employee ID here. Okay, employee ID. Then what is your variable name? EMP ID. So whatever the value it is available in employee ID, it is going to store it into EMP ID. This EMP ID, you need to use it in your select query. That's very simple. Now, let me save it. Then go to select connector here, where employee ID equal to colon EMP ID. Okay, employee ID colon equal to EMP ID. Let's see now. Here we have in input parameters. Click on expression mode. So EMP ID. Okay, so this is our attribute EMP ID. So from where it is coming? From variables, right? Where start EMP ID. Now let me run this. So it's like everything, it is configurations. Okay. So in order to create variable, just we have a connector. From here, you need to specify whether you are taking from query parameters or URI parameters or headers or body. Then in the select query, we need to pass the value as a dynamic way. Let's see. Okay, still it is not yet deployed. Let's wait for a few seconds. Okay, it is deployed and successfully started. Now, how are you passing? We are passing the value by using query parameter. Okay, click on this send. So how it is going to happen? So as soon as if we send input, first it will set the employee ID, suppose 100. This employee ID, we are going to pass it in select query. Select query, we are passing it. So where are we passing this value? So here we are passing. See, that's why we are getting the specific value here. So sometimes we are going to search all, right. So in that case, what we need to do, we need to create two endpoints. One is for search all and another one is for specific ID. So if you go with search all, you will get all the 100 records. If you go with specific number, you will get only specific record. Now, let me change. 103. See here, employee ID is 103. Now I'm going to hit for 200. This is how we can quickly connect with databases. Okay. So instead of writing many lines of code, you can easily connect. So here we have many options. In actual classes, we are going to discuss about all those things. What is the DDL? What is insert? What is untable row? Okay. So this part we are going to talk about. So this is an demo session. Okay. Okay, that's it for today. We'll see in a tomorrow session. And tomorrow session, we'll see how to design. Okay, before this development, we have a design, right? So how quickly, so what is the importance of design and how to design your API before going to start the development. That part we are going to see in tomorrow's session. Okay.